I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on vectors. We are going to discuss division of line segment in this particular example. Let me thank all the viewers and subscribers for taking keen interest, watching my videos, posting excellent suggestions, and even questions. So here we have 3 questions from one of our subscribers who is taking up GCSE. Let us see how to answer those questions. Let us first discuss the basic concept. We'll talk about internal and external division of a line segment. What does it mean? Well, let's consider like this. Let's say this is our coordinate plane, okay? And we have 2 vectors, vectors A and B. Let's say this is the vector A which I've already drawn, and then we have a vector B. And on this line which joins A to B, we have a point P. Right? So on this line which joins A to B, we have a point P. So basically what I've shown you here is position vector OA, position vector OB, and a point which cuts this line segment AB in a particular ratio, which I have shown here as S and T. That means this part is S and this part is T. So the total distance is S plus T, which is from A to B, correct? Then the formula to get the coordinates of point P or the vector OP is as shown here. So O to P is T divided by S plus T times the vector OA plus S over S plus T times vector OB. So that's the formula. Now this formula can be utilized for both external and internal divisions of a line segment. So let me draw another example here where we will take P as an external point. So let's say this is what vector A for us, and this is the vector B for us. And a line segment which joins A to B is kind of like this, and is divided externally by a point P. And we need to find the coordinates of this particular point. That is to say, position vector OP is what we need to find. So what we are given here is position vector OA and position vector OB. And we have a point P which divides this line segment, but this time externally. Do you see it is outside A and B in the ratio of S? So from A to B, like going from here to here, it is S. And then it is T while going back, right? So that is T for us. Well, since it is going back, we can consider this as negative T. Now this is called external division. So I hope this concept of internal and external division is absolutely clear, right? So the formula here remains the same. However, what you will notice is that if I replace T by minus T for external division, it will be kind of like this. This will be a negative term since I replace T with minus T, and we have S minus T here, vector OA, plus S over, S is positive, right? And the other direction we are taking as negative, S minus T of vector OB, right? Does make sense to you? So that is the very basic formula and its understanding. Now while solving the questions which I have got, I will actually derive and then just verify the formula. So I'm not directly going to use the formula. Here is the very first question where we have 2 vectors, and what I have done here is that I copied them in a separate sheet and then we'll discuss, right? So this is the first question which we'll talk about. Here is the second one, right? So we are given different ratios and these are different vectors, correct? And here is the third question to discuss. So all the 3 questions will now be answered in a sequence. Okay, so let's take the very first question, which is question number 1. It says OA is vector A. So from O to A, this is the vector A. OB is vector B. P is a point on AB such that AP to PB is 1:3. So let's say this is P, right? So this is P for us, such that this ratio is 1:3. OP, that means from here to here, this is the vector OP, is equal to K times scalar multiple 3A plus B. Find the value of K. So that is the question for you. You can always pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. Now let us see how to find OP vector, right? So we'll go with the basic concepts of vectors and then figure out what is OP. So we can see that the vector OP is a linear combination of OA and AP, right? Now, vector OA is given to us as A, so I could write this as vector A, plus A to P is what? A to P is B minus A, right? So I could write this as 1/3 of that, right? So A to P is, actually, let me go one more step here. So we can write this as OA plus what is A to P. Now if you see, if this ratio is 1:3, then the total is 4, right? So from here to here, well, the units are 4. So therefore, A to P is 1/4 of this, correct? 1/4 of AB. So let me write this as 1/4 of vector AB. Does it make sense to you, right? So that is what A to P is, 1/4 of AB. So we'll write this as 1/4 of A to B. But what is AB equals to? AB is vector B minus vector A. So I could write this as vector B minus vector A. Clear? So that is OP. So let's rearrange and figure it out. So what we get here is A plus 1/4 of vector B minus 1/4 of vector A. Let's combine the like terms, the vectors, in the same direction, which is vector A, and then we'll simplify and find out the end result. So that becomes 1 minus, so vector A, it is basically 1 minus 1/4, right? Plus 1/4 of vector B. Now that gives you 3/4, right? So I could write this as 3/4 of vector A plus 1/4 of vector B. So we found the vector OP in terms of A and B. The question here was that vector OP is given to you as K times 3A plus B. Now what should be the value of K? Well, from here we can take 1/4 common, right? So what we get here is 3A plus B. Now if you compare, then clearly the value of K is equal to 1/4. Is that clear to you? So that is how we are going to solve this question. Perfect. So I hope you understand and appreciate that we didn't really use the formula, which is right there. We could have used it directly and we could have got a result. But let us at least check whether it works or not, right? So we'll make a check here. We are saying O to P should be this 3 times 1 plus 3, that is your S and T, right? 1 plus 3 times vector A, right? Plus this 1 times 1/1 plus 3 times the vector B. Do you see we got exactly the same result for O to P? So you could use the direct formula and get the result, right? However, these are the steps to be followed for full marks. I hope that makes sense, right? Okay, let's take up the next question now. Now in this particular case, we are given the vector OA as 2 times A, vector OB as 3 times P, and then we have a point P. So P is a point on A to B such that AP to PB is 3:2. So this time point is towards this area, 3:2, right? So that is how it is. Let's write 3 here and 2 here. So the total here will be what? 3 plus 2 is 5. So the whole unit will be 5 units, correct? So out of which this is 3, this is 2, A to B. Perfect. Now from here, you can very clearly write what is vector AB equals to. Vector AB will be 3B minus 2A, right? 3B minus 2A, that is a vector AB. But what we need to find is OP and the value of K. So let's figure out what is OP. So we'll have the same strategy. O to P, this is vector P, is equal to O to A plus A to P, right? Now, O to A is given to us as 2A. What is A to P? Well, A to P, if I divide A to B in 5 equal parts, it is 3 parts, right? So 3 out of 5 is A to P. So I could write this as 3 out of 5 of A to B. Perfect. We know A to B is 3B minus 2A. So we could substitute that, correct? So we write this as 3B minus 2A. Now we can open the bracket, rearrange. So 3 over 5 times 3B minus, we'll multiply this, 3 over 5 times 2A, right? So that gives you, we'll bring these two terms together, 2A minus 9 over 5A, and that is, sorry, this is 3 times 2 is 6. Okay. 3 times 3 is 9. 9B over 5. Okay. So what is this equal to? 10A minus 6. So we have 10A minus 6A over 5 plus 3 times 2, okay, this was just 9, right? 3 times 3 is 9. So it is 9B over 5, correct? Okay, let's take it here. So this is 10 minus 6 is 4. So we get 4A over 5 plus 9B over 5. Now we need to figure out K, where in the bracket we have 4A plus 9B. So I can take 1 over 5 common, and what we get here is 4A plus 9B, correct? So A and B are the vectors. Comparing, we know the value of K is equal to 1 over 5. Is that clear? So we followed exactly the same method which we did last time and got the value of K. Is that clear to you? Perfect. Now let's move on and take the last question. Question number 3. OA is A, OB is 2B, P is a point on A to B such that A to P and P to B is 3:2. So okay, so let's do it somewhere here. So that's your point P. And the ratio here is 3:2. So again, this total is 5, right? So this total is 5. Now, we need to find OP. We are given OP as K times A plus 3B. Find the value of K. Well, you can actually pause the video now, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. So O to P we have to find. First let's find AB, right? Because we need to use it later. So that's what we learned from the first example. So A to B is 2B minus A now. 2B minus A, right? That is the first thing. So we'll name this as our equation number 1. And now let's figure out what is OP equals to. So OP is combination of OA and A to P. That is OP. Now OA is given to us as vector A and AP is 3/5 of AB. And from part 1, the equation 1, we know what AB is, which is 2B minus A, right? 2B minus A is AB. So we can now combine the like terms. We have A and we'll bring minus 3 over 5A. We'll write this first. And then we'll write the B vector, 3 over 5 times 2B. Okay. Combining these two, what do we get? 5 is the denominator and we get 5 minus 3A here. And the vector 6B over 5. Perfect. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So we get 2 over 5a plus 6 over 5b. We want a plus 3b in the bracket. So we can take 2 over 5 common, right? So taking 2 over 5 common, we get a plus 3b, right? So comparing these two right there, we know what the value of k is, which is 2 over 5. So we know k is 2 over 5. Is that clear? So all the questions which are related with division of a line segment, we also call it a section formula, can be solved in this fashion, right? So you don't even have to remember the formula. Well, if you know the formula, you can straight away write the result. For example, I could have written here OP directly as 2 times the vector A, right? 2 times divided by 5, the total line segment, plus 3 times this vector, which is 2b, right? 2b divided by 5, the length. And that is what the result is. So if you know the formula, you could go direct. This helps in multiple choice questions, right? So, or if you're doing a bigger question, which we'll take up in part 2, we'll directly use the formula and get the result. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to write your comments, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'll be great. Once again, thanks a lot for sharing these questions. All the best.